Hi there, Dr. Rajiv Iyer here from IMG Secrets. I welcome you all to this live session today. The whole idea of doing this live session is to make sure we get clarity on your career. Because what has happened is you go online, you read stuff, the end result for most of you is confusion. So we want to fix that here for you. We want to make sure you understand what's going on in the real world and online so you get an idea as to how to proceed with your career. Now, if you're a returning viewer who is watching the live recorded session, I also welcome you. Now, as you're joining, I want you to just say hi and then tell me where you're coming from. I want to highlight two important news or new important updates that just happened this week. Number one is the ECFMG finally released their recognized accreditation policy. Now, we did release a video about this. I want to make sure you understand what exactly this means. Now, they started talking about this in 2011, or rather 2010, I think. And finally, after 14 to 15 years, they're now able to implement it. Okay? So, the new changes, you would see a new note saying you come from a college or from a country that does have recognized accreditation policy. Now, if you don't have this is where it gets confusing. I don't want you to panic. Okay? You can still use the existing process. Now, ECFMG is not doing a sudden change, they actually are doing a sequential change. Okay? So, bottom line, you actually can use the existing process. As you're joining live, just make sure you tell me what country or what city you're coming from so I exactly know where you're joining from. So I was talking about the ECFMG. Okay, so just don't panic about it. Make sure to use the existing process. The second thing is about the Tennessee law. Now, Tennessee law has been a topic of discussion for many months, and finally, the state medical board has released a application form. Now, I still want to highlight the same thing that if you are focusing on getting into the US using this Tennessee state law, okay, your main goal is to still find a position and not keep calling the state medical board about questions. They can only guide you with the application, but what you need as an IMG is a position. So make sure you get that. Is there anything you want to say? As is routine, so here's my daughter who's going to give a brief update.
Okay, guys, hi, welcome to our live. So basically, we're gonna be doing the same thing that we usually do. We're gonna be doing a giveaway on the wheel. So while my dad is like answering questions, I'm gonna add you guys to the wheel and then we'll spin it, and then the winner gets a free coaching live session. And in order to get your name on the wheel, you have to like the video, you have to subscribe to the channel, and then put your name in the live chat when we tell you to, and then I'll add you and we'll spin it later. So good luck with that.
All right. So she's going to keep you updated. So bottom line is we pick a person who we would give a live guidance. It's not a live. It's actually a one-on-one guidance session for free. Okay. Now I also want to highlight that there is an option where you can join me live through a video call. Or remember, if you do join, your video, audio, your text, anything you say is going to be live on YouTube across all the social media. Okay, just keep that in mind. All right, so let's see who we have. All right, we have Dr. Kenan Channel. Okay, hi, doctor. Let's see if we can edit the text in a different way. So that way it becomes a lot more easier for us to read. Maybe that's better, I think, isn't it? All right, so that's a white background, so maybe that should read better. All right, cool. Lovely. And let's see who else we have. All right, Dr. Noren Tahima, thanks for joining. So, Noren is a final year medical student from Georgia. Fantastic. Dr. Rangnath says, hi, sir. Hi, Dr. Rangnath. Pleasure meeting you. Thanks for joining. Something with the signal up here. Let's try to fix this. All right, let's see what's going on with the signal. Just hang on. Some technical issues, and we should be able to take care of that. All right, maybe let's turn off the. Okay, let me fix this in a different way. All right, let's turn the camera off. Camera on. And let's see. There you go. We're back now. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Dr. Faith from Turkey. Dr. Faith, thanks for joining. We have Dr. Gradacos, who's an anesthesiologist from Brazil. Thanks for joining. If you didn't know, I'm an anesthesiologist too, practicing in the state of Pennsylvania primarily, and also in the state of New Jersey in the USA. All right. We have Dr. Noreen Begum joining the call. Let's see what's going on. All right. Dr. Begum, you're live now. If you can hear and see me, you're welcome to introduce yourself and ask a question that you have.
Uh, Hello, doctor.
Hello, how are you doing today?
I'm fine. I'm fine, doctor.
Fantastic. Tell me what's going on. Where are you calling from?
Yeah. I'm from Tbilisi, Georgia. Like I'm a final year med student from Tbilisi, Georgia,
Mhm.
but I'm a native Indian.
Okay, okay.
Uh, yeah. So I had question about regarding MCC, not about ECFMG.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead. What is
So
your question?
uh, yeah, I just wanted to know about the eligibility. I'm in a final year medical school. So I just wanted to know that I was like, am I eligible to apply for the examination before my graduation?
I believe so. These regulations keep changing. I think this should be a pretty straightforward answer you can get. As long as they let you register. So the first thing you need to make sure is, do you have a sponsor note about your medical school from on the WDOMS website? Okay.
Sure, sir.
Do you
Sure.
have that?
Yeah,
Okay.
have like our university has. Yeah.
I think as far as I know, they should let final year medical students do join, but I do have to double check on this exact specific requirements. But this should be an easy answer to get. Okay. So you can always post a comment in the YouTube later. We can get the answer
Okay.
for you easily. But I think more importantly than
So
the
I need a one-on-one consultation with you.
yeah, so for that you can always go to our website www.imgsecrets.com and you can book an
Okay.
appointment and there should be times dates that should be updated by our team and you can pick anything that works for you and we'll be more than happy to talk to you.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
but
so much.
yeah, I look forward to talking to you then. Okay, all right,
Yeah.
take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.
All right, going back to our comments, so Dr. Bemi Kaf says, hi, sir. Hi, Doctor. Dr. Anand Allu says, hello, doctor. Hello. All right, so we do have a question here. Let's see. Options to start working in Canada or USA without a need to take exams. Please advise the approach that needs to be considered. Can we opt for cardiac anesthesia or cardiac transplant? So I assume you're an anesthesiologist, right? So in your case, I would say in general, cardiac There is no fellowship called cardiac transplant fellowship unless you're a cardiac surgeon. So I'm not sure what your background is. Okay. Now, these are two different topics you're talking about. In general, I can say for most of you, if you're thinking of entering as a fellow in the USA, the expectation is you do need USMLE. Sure, there are some exceptions, but let's not get there. Let's assume that most of you or almost all of you would require USMLE to come in as a fellow in the US. But on the other hand, if you're thinking of Canada, they don't need any exams for you to apply as a fellow. So that's a great opportunity for those of you who think you're eligible but do not have any exams. And the only exam Canada requires is an English proficiency test. It does not matter what your country of origin is. The expectation is that as an IMG, they do require an English proficiency test. Maybe US is an exception, but I think most other countries do require that. Okay, so you would do that, and you can apply for a fellowships in Canada. And I also have to tell you guys that whether you do a fellowship in Canada, it is going to help you in Canada and the USA. If you do a fellowship in the USA, it is going to help you in the USA and Canada because these are reciprocal countries. And we share all these strategies when we sit on one guidance as to how exactly to move about making use of this unique advantage that Canada and US offers as reciprocal countries. Okay? But bottom line, wherever you get is fine. All right. So let's move on to the next question. This is Dr. Sikandar. I am a trainee anesthesiologist from Pakistan, and I'm very keen in getting a fellowship or AEP, which stands for Alternate Entry Path. I have EDAIC. I will have 3 to 4 publications and 2-year teaching experience by next year. Chances and advice. If you are an anesthesiologist from Pakistan, I would say you can certainly apply for a fellowship and then subsequently explore the next steps, which would be the alternate entry path. Now, if your training and the experience is exclusive from Pakistan, I don't recommend straight away going to the alternate entry path, but navigate through the fellowship and then try to explore the next steps so you become successful. Now, that could be an exception for some of you from various different countries, but for Pakistan, this is the suggestions I would give. Okay? All right, let's see. Dr. Ranganath says, I'm doing psychiatry from India. Which country is easier to move with my MD? See, there is no concept of easy. Okay? Nothing is going to be easy. Everything has its pros, cons. Everything is going to be difficult. Whenever you approach your situation, I do want you to approach not just Dr. Ranganath, but any of you with that expectation that things are not going to be easy. Things are going to be very disappointing because many times you apply for something, the programs don't even respond. But you have to be persistent, you have to be strategic, and then keep moving forward. Okay? Now, nothing is easy, Dr. Ranganath, but depending on your background, if you don't have any exams, then I would say Canada would be a good starting point. If you have tons of experience, then certainly you can explore Australia as an option through the specialist assessment path. If you have USMLE, then you can certainly explore the US as an option. So you have to think about what your background is and how you can move forward with this. Okay? All right. Moving on. So Dr. Sudhakar is a senior consultant, cardiothoracic and transplant in Hyderabad. Okay, member of a team who performed highest number of adult cardiac surgeries and heart transplants. Fantastic. See, coming from India myself, I have no doubts about the clinical experience and the solid clinical knowledge people from India have. But if there is any question, feel free to post it. All right. So the next question is from Dr. Mahi. I'm a dermatologist from Iran. Hello, nice meeting you. And so why is our signal getting messed up today? So let's see what's going on. This is what happens when you're not a technical person. All right, let's figure out what's going on here. And let me see. Everything is connected, but in spite of that, all right, back on. I'm not sure what's going on. Anyway, more importantly, we are back on. Now, this reminds me an important thing because the interviews happen virtually. You must make sure that this doesn't happen to you during an interview session because this is critical. Because the programs might not have enough time to wait for you. I mean, they do understand there could be some technical issues, but do make sure all your connections are appropriate and your internet is working fine. You don't want to be in a situation like I am trying to fix the camera. I mean, if you have to, that's fine, but ideally not. All right. So we have Dr. Sudhakar's education is MBBS. Okay. All right. This is about the history of experience. I think the next question is fantastic. Okay, Dr. Faith Demirel asks, do we have to take USMLE for the Tennessee law? Now we have had a lot of questions about this since the time the video got released. For most of you, yes, you do need USMLE to navigate into the US using the Tennessee law. Now, are there exceptions? Yes, there are. There are exceptions. But the exceptions is based on a candidate being really outstanding. Okay? An outstanding candidate is someone who has demonstrated, it doesn't matter what country you're from, okay? You have demonstrated a substantial amount of clinical experience, okay? So if I have to take an example of, let's say, now let's take the example of a radiologist. Now, neuroradiologist. Now, this candidate has had extensive experience in neuroradiology clinically, has had a tremendous amount of publications. Again, the number doesn't matter, it's both the number and the quality. And they have done things that over and beyond a normal person would do during their residency. Now, if you think you're one of these candidates, there can be exceptions. But generally, for most of you, expect that USMLE would be required in order for the state medical board to process your licensure. Okay, that's where the key is. But the most important step, I'm going to tell this again, is actually to get a position. Okay, and not a license, get a position. All right, Dr. Tamina says, thank you, it's my pleasure. Dr. Sudhakar says, cardiac transplant anesthetist. Okay, so I guess your question is how do I move? So as I said, if you have USMLA, then you can certainly explore the US options. If you do not, then I would say Canada would be a fantastic option. So Dr. Javed asks how to find jobs in Tennessee. Is it possible without MLA? The jobs have nothing to do with MLA. The jobs is about finding a job with with a hospital based on your background, based on your experience. Now, once the hospital thinks you're an outstanding candidate, fine, they will say, okay, do you have a USMLE exams? If you don't have, then they will work with the state medical board in order for you to get a license. Okay? So the process of finding a job doesn't change whether you have MLE or not. How can I move to Canada after MD Psych? Okay, the options are, well, the first step is you can approach for applying for clinical fellowships. The second option is you can think of doing residency. And I assume you mentioned that you're exclusively from India, so for those reasons, I would say these two would be a good option. And then if you're unable to be successful with these approaches, then you can always complete your USMLE steps and think of USA as another option. Dr. Sikandar says, does program directors look at step 2 CK scores for fellowship applications? Generally not. Generally, they look at where you did your residency from, what is your background experience, and why you're interested to do a fellowship, and what are your long-term goals. Generally not step 2 CK scores. All right. Dr. Allu says I've completed my MBBS in India recently and preparing for NEET PG. Okay, great. I want to know which specialty will be easy for entering fellowship in Canada, so I'll do that specialty in India. Well, actually, I did record a video on this very specific topic, and it's in the process of editing, releasing somewhere from my team. So, interestingly, I would say that a okay, let me fix this stupid technical error. I don't know why this is giving me a hard time today. All right. So generally, there are a few. See, first of all, I should say you must pick a residency which you're really interested in. You don't want to do something thinking that, oh, this is going to help me get a fellowship in Canada. Okay. Sure. So think of a Venn diagram. Okay. Now I'm interested in something, and now this offers a fellowship in Canada, and they intersect at some point. I think that might be a more reasonable approach than thinking I want to do something I don't like because I can now get a fellowship in Canada. Generally, the specialties that are more friendly are, I would say, internal medicine, pediatrics, maybe psych, depending on what your background is, and family medicine. Now, the specialties generally that are extremely difficult are surgical specialties, dermatology, radiology, and anesthesia. These are extremely difficult to get into these countries. But something has changed in the last few years. Now there is extensive shortage of both radiology and anesthesia. There is shortage of all doctors, but there is an increase in shortage of subspecialist radiologists and subspecialist anesthesiologists. So these two specialties, which used to be extremely difficult to get in, has now become easier, and this is expected to stay. And we have had a lot of success with radiology because of the nature of specialty. So these are some of the things I would say you should focus on, or you can focus on, assuming you're interested in these. Okay. All right. Now comes a radiologist question. I'm a radiologist from Nepal. I would like to know pathways for applying for fellowship in intervention radiology in Australia or Singapore. Or any suggestions from you? See, in Singapore, I think we did a video about Singapore from Dr. Yunam, who actually is a Singaporean who is working in Singapore. So I would encourage you to check that video. There we have explained the medical degrees that are recognized by Singapore Medical Council, which seems to be the most important bottleneck in terms of finding a position in Singapore. Now, the other way, if you don't belong to those countries that are recognized by Singapore Medical Council, there is a huge list. There are a lot of medical colleges recognized by them. Is to find a position in the area of need where they're desperately short. Now, that's about Singapore. Now, about Australia, if since you're a radiologist, one option is to explore the specialist assessment path, which doesn't require any AMC exams, but does involve a lot of paperwork, time, and money. The other option is trying to find a job in the area of need and then navigate through that. Okay? Then apply for a specialist assessment path after you find a job. Now, we have had a candidate whom we are helping right now who is moving through that path. Okay? So this signal is actually being very frustrating today. I don't know what's going on. So let's see what's going on with our camera. And why is this giving us a hard time and just not working? Okay. All right. Sorry about the technical error. I have no idea what's going on. All right. Every time I have to turn off my camera, turn it back on to bring me back on the screen. Anyway. All right. Now, Dr. Sikandar says, secondly, when could a candidate opt for one-on-one coaching with you in their journey for application for clinical fellowship before MLE steps or afterwards? Great question. So I would say if you are very, very focused on the US, you're completely not flexible, then I would say finish your MLE and then you can seek help. But if you want to know all other options of how you can navigate into the US system with the MLE, without MLE, how to use other countries, take the benefit of that in order to move to the USA, I would say you can book anytime. So it really depends on how flexible you are in terms of which country you want to pick and choose. Okay. All right. Dr. Sudhakar, experienced 20 years in cardiothoracic anesthesia and heart transplant, options of fellowship in transplant anesthesia fellowship in Canada. Sure. Looks like with that experience, you can apply for a fellowship in Canada. The only catch is, see, this is true for everyone who is watching this. If you are way too experienced, okay, and you want to do a fellowship, which is a training position, then you have to really come up with reasons why you want to do a fellowship when you have so much of experience. Okay, you want to convince the program that there is a reason why you want to do a fellowship. Okay, just keep that in mind if you're very, very experienced. So there is a balance here. You need an optimal amount of experience, not too less, not too much, in order to maximize your chances. I'm not saying you shouldn't apply. You can still apply, but go very strategically. All right, let's see. So this is Dr. Gradacos, and I know you're from Brazil, is what you said. Yes, nice to meet you. Is it possible to get an anesthesiology fellowship? Being a Brazilian IMG, I cannot apply ERAS. Is it possible to apply SF match? Fantastic question. Yes. Not only from Brazil, if you belong to any country as an IMG, the ERAS system, the way it's designed, is not going to let you apply. But I can tell you, we have had success somehow navigating the application through the SF match. And we actually have had success not only to apply for fellowships, but also the candidates have been successful in obtaining a fellowship. So I would say SF match is a good option if you know how to apply through the SF match. While preparing for USMLE steps in someone who has 1 to 2 years, I think the question is truncated. Oh, by the way, I also want to remind you, if you feel like joining live to ask questions, I have left the link. You can always search, but remember, if you join through the link, you'll be live, both audio and video, on YouTube and other portals. Where did the question go? All right, let me see. I'm trying to see where we were last. Okay. Hello, sir. I'm a final year MBBS student from India, and my spouse has a Canadian PGWP. Can you remind me what is PGWP is? How can I get a clinical assistant job in Canada after my MBBS? A clinical assistant job. Clinical assistant job. I have to see what a clinical assistant job is. So there are two options. So one is a physician assistant, the other is assistant in a clinic. By a clinical assistant, do you mean an assistant in someone's clinic? So for that, you have to approach the clinic, explain them why you need a job, convince them that you're capable of doing the job, and then obtain a job. Okay? Most of these folks will not sponsor you a visa, so you have to either be a PR or you have to convince them to sponsor a work visa depending on your profile, which is not easy to do, but that's certainly an option, and that's how you would proceed further. What are your suggestions to improve CV? Tons of them, tons of them. It depends on what kind of system you're in, what you're trying to achieve. So focus on improving your CV through your clinical work, through the non-clinical academic work. That could be research publications, that could be what is called as an educational impact, through which you would attend conferences, attend workshops, and also teach your next generation of trainees, which includes medical students and other folks. Okay, so these are some of the ways you would do that. Dr. Noor says, hello, sir. Hello. All right. Dr. Christian says, I'm an academic. Is there academic positions for IMGs in US or Canada, or is it better to apply for a fellowship? I would like your help with my CV and cover letter. See, the thing is, this is not enough information for me to comment. But bottom line, don't worry about the academic, non academic, and stuff like that. Depending on your background, focus on a fellowship and then use that fellowship to find a position. Which, if you do take our guidance, we would exactly tell you how to go about your situation and then help you through your CV, cover letter, and all those stuff. Okay? Now, you don't have to worry about academic positions at this stage. Okay? Unless you're applying as a consultant or an attending position directly, then that's a different issue. But not if you're thinking of a fellowship. Okay? Do you have any suggestions for preparing for a clinical fellowship interview? So, great question. I can tell you during a fellowship interview, they're not testing any clinical skills. They're testing your soft skills, which is a communication skills. So, remember that it is not about the question, it is not about what you answer, but it is about how you answer and how you approach the interview. You need to convince them you're going to be a great fit through your communication, through your speaking, and that is all they're testing. They're not asking what is the drug of choice for X, Y, and Z. They're not asking what is the treatment of choice. They're asking a strategic approach as to why they need to pick you. Okay? There are no questions, there is no one way of preparing them, but it's all about what you say and how you say. Okay? And we do offer mock interview training. For those of you who do want to choose this option, we would be more than happy to guide you. All right. I am going, let's see, next question is from Dr. Vignesh Vigneshwar. I'm doing MD biochemistry. What is job opportunities abroad? See, MD biochemistry is not a standalone PG in the US or in Canada. So for these reasons, you will have to find a job that actually can let you help in a lab or something that actually um, that using which you can actually do some masters or something like that. So it is not a PG on its own. So that's where the catch is with biochemistry. And that's true for many PGs in India. Okay, so most of the what we call as non-clinical subjects do not have a residency in any of these countries because they're all done by masters. Another example I can think of is anatomy, physiology. Sure, there can be some exceptions here there, but these are all the subjects where there is no PG in these countries. So keep that in mind as you're using this experience to move forward. Okay, you'll have to think of other strategies here. Okay, all right. Dr. Gupta says, Arijit, I'm MBBS graduate 2023 from India and I wish to pursue USMLA pathway. I don't have a great CV per se. How should I proceed further? Please help. Well, see, if you first of all focus on getting good scores on your USMLA Step 2 CK. Now, depending on what PG you're interested in, okay, you may have to spend some time in that and then build your CV clinically so that way you can show some credibility that you actually do have some experience if you do not have much experience. So, for example, now let's say you want to do pediatric PG. Now, you could do a pediatric rotation or you could work in a pediatric hospital in India and then keep on building your CV as you finish your USMLE steps. Or the other option is you can try to find a position in the US or in Canada in research that can then actually help you establish some experience in this, and then that way you when you apply for MASH you would be in a situation where they can actually think that you are a very valuable candidate. Now between these two, I would say any experience in the US, if you're applying for US hospitals, would be a lot more valuable as compared to your clinical experience in India. So this is something you need to think about, and this is how you build your CV step by step, and then you become competitive enough So when you do apply for your match, they actually can think of, okay, this candidate does have some meat in him, so we can actually call this person for an interview. Okay? So that is how you would approach this situation. And this is true for all of you if you're in this situation. All right. So thank you, sir. You're very welcome. Is it possible to match and neuro and use it if uh, more than oh my god, I'm having a hard time understanding this. Is it possible to match MD neuro in USA if year of graduation more than 7 years after MD psychiatry from India? MD neuro, neurology. I think it should be possible. I don't think. See, the year of graduation becomes significant, but if you're not doing anything else at all, but if you're doing a PG in your respective home countries, then when the person is looking at the year of graduation, they also know that you have not wasted your time and career, but rather you have actually done a PG in your home country. So I would say that experience is very valuable. Okay? Even though it might not be directly recognized in the US, but that is a very valuable clinical experience that you're working with patients. So I would make use of that as your benefit when you apply for anything else. All right, Dr. Matthew, I have finished my diploma on DNB anesthesia with almost 3 year experience. I wanted to do a fellowship in Canada. Kindly help me for that. So it's the same approach. So you finish your English proficiency test, and then you would move forward with applying for clinical fellowships based on your experience, and depending on that, that is how you would actually establish yourself in terms of finding a fellowship that's appropriate for your experience. I'm sorry, this signal is killing me. It's just going on and off. I don't know why. Anyway, all right. Is there anything you want to say now? Okay, come on over. All right. My daughter is going to come and tell you about the wheel spin thingy.
Hey guys, so you can start putting all your names in the comments and then I'll add you to the wheel. And in the bit, we'll spin and we'll see if you win. Make sure you subscribe and you hit the like button for your name to be on the wheel.
Okay. So I guess just make sure you like this video, you're subscribed to the channel, and you put your name in the comments, and then she's gonna pick all the names and then make a list, and then we'll pick someone with whom we would be more than happy to have a one-on-one free guidance session where we can tell you how exactly to establish your career. Cool. All right. So start doing it now. All right, so the question comes as what are my options to move to Canada or USA with 20 years of experience in cardiothoracic and heart transplant anesthesiologist without need to give exams? I think I did mention this to you. You focus on applying for a fellowship in Canada because you don't have any exams, complete your English proficiency test, and then apply for fellowships in Canada. But just be careful that because you have too much of experience that you're careful in mentioning why you still need to do a fellowship. Okay. Dr. Noor says informative session. Thanks, doctor. It's my pleasure, and I'm glad you're having your questions answered. Because online, you go online, you read something, it is very confusing. All right. Dr. Aditya Bachu. I passed MBBS in 2015 from India. Then DNB General Surgery 2022, 1 year senior residency, almost 1 year senior assistant professor, no publications yet. Fellowship in US possible for me. All right. So yeah, obviously surgical fellowships. I get that because you're a surgeon, and so technically you can apply to a fellowship. That is fine, but remember that getting a fellowships in any surgical specialties is not going to be that easy. But yes, I wouldn't say U.S. because if you have USMLA, then you can approach the U.S. I haven't seen your CV, so I cannot tell you if you can proceed without USMLA. But basically, sure, if you have USMLA, approach the US. If you do not have USMLA, then you can always approach Canada. Okay? As a consultant from Pakistan in anesthesiology, is it PO? PO. I don't know what that means. Oh, okay. Is it possible to go to Middle East as consultant directly? So we do have an expert from the Middle East on IMGsecrets.com. So I encourage you to speak to him directly in order to obtain guidance on what are your options in the Middle East coming from Pakistan. He's going to be more than happy to guide you, and he's been doing this for many years. And we're glad to have him as an expert on our channel. So you can have an appointment with Dr. Ravi, who can answer this question much better than I would do this. All right. Dr. Divani asks, how much peds anesthesia experience would someone with a UK CCT potentially need to get a fellowship in Canada? Would I have to do a pediatric fellowship in the UK first? You don't need any experience. You don't need to do any pediatric fellowship in the UK. All right. Dr. Rati says, I'm an MBBS graduate from Pakistan. I'm working as a medical officer in endocrine. Can I get fellowship or research assistant job in endocrine based on my experience? Sounds like technically you might be able to get some sort of a research position in endocrine based on what you've done, at least based on the limited information you have provided. You're more than welcome to explore that option. All right, Dr. Bami Kefa asks, can you do a video on PR opportunities or steps during clinical fellowships in Canada? Oh, I see. So the point is, when you're doing a clinical fellowships, what are the options on getting PR? Sure, we can make a note of that and say, if our team thinks it's a good idea to do a video, and then I'll be more than happy to, bring it to them. All right, I think we are now getting into the people adding their names. Glad you're doing that. I am doing MRCPI in OBGYN. Is it acceptable in Canada? Unfortunately, it is not. It just doesn't add any value to our knowledge to anything you do in Canada. It's just an exam. Okay. So Dr. Sudhakar says, what's the English proficiency test score needed for Canada? It depends on the type of test you're taking. So you can always check them in the respective fellowship websites to see what score they need. But in general, if it's an IELTS, as far as I know, you need a band score of 7 in each and an overall band score of 7.5. There could be exceptions, but in general. All right. I saw that physician assistant position sponsor visas for Canada in one of your videos, sir. Is it doable to get a spot as a fresh MBBS graduate with 3 to 4 publications? I'm not sure where you saw this. That a physician assistant is a completely different concept than being an assistant to a physician. So it might be confusing. I mean, you might have gotten confused, is what I think. A physician assistant is a course that you need to take in order to be successful to be a physician assistant in Canada. The same concept in the US. All right, Dr. Noor says, it's a long question. All right, we got to fix this thingy which keeps turning off and on. It's playing a game with me today. All right, Dr. Noor says, my wife is selected for an interview in Peach Radiology. Fantastic, congratulations. And Peach Neuroradiology Fellowship in Sick Kids after watching your videos meticulously. I'm so happy to hear that. And we are so thankful for you in this regard. She wants to book an appointment for interview prep with you or your team with radiology expertise. Can you please elaborate on how many sessions or days this process of appointment for interview preparation takes? So you're welcome to book an appointment with me, or if you want to have a radiologist talk to you, so you can always go to our email, contact us at imgsecrets.com, and specifically request a radiologist to do a mock interview for you. We can arrange that as well. So basically, see, when you think of interview, it's not about the questions. Okay, you have to keep that in mind. It's about how you approach these questions and how you show that you're solid in your communication. They're not going to test any clinical skills, and that is what you need to prove, and that is what we help you prepare. Okay, we just tell you how exactly to approach this situation. Okay, in order for you to be successful. So you can go to our website, book an appointment, or you can just email us to pick a radiologist. It's up to you. I'm not a radiologist. Okay. All right. Dr. Hussain says, "Good afternoon, doc. I am an Indian MBBS graduate working in UK. Hang on. I have a query about the Tennessee new law and regulations. Will you be able to help me guide to get a job offer to apply Tennessee regulations?" See, at this stage, the focus is on obtaining a job in Tennessee. So, what we do is we will be certainly happy to help you with this. Plus, if we think you should not focus just on Tennessee but globally around the USA, we would tell that. So, instead of focusing just on Tennessee, you can focus Tennessee plus all over the USA, because these are the things that actually can increase the chances for you to obtain a position. More than happy to help you. How can I do a fellowship in Canada after MD Psych from India and practice in Canada? I think we already addressed your questions. So basically, you do apply for fellowships based on whatever is available, depending on your background and interest. And then the next steps would depend on a lot of different factors. Okay? All right. Dr. Gurung asks, "Hello, sir. After passing MRCP, can we get a registrar job without doing MD in home country? Is MRCP equivalent to MD medicine in most of the country without doing home country MD?" I'm not sure the answer to this question. I actually am having a hard time interpreting this question based on what country this is and how we are proceeding with this and stuff like that. So she hasn't done IELTS or OET yet, as it was not the prerequisite for interview. Okay, whatever the hospital wants. But eventually, when you get to the stage of obtaining a license, to my knowledge, they would eventually say that they would need an English proficiency test. But if they're so desperate for people that they even do not need that, sure, but I would be very, very surprised if they let you go in without an English test. If that happens, do let us know. Okay, so Madhurya says, "Hello, sir, I'm a final year medical student from India doing internship." Hey, you want to do the spinny whenever you're ready? Okay. Okay. So, what would be your question, Dr. Madhurya? Dr. Bachu says, "Applying to Canada surgical fellowships need exams, need prior experience in the same department." No exams needed except for an English proficiency exam. Yes, ideally you do need experience in the same one. For example, into thoracic surgery fellowship in Canada. Yeah, that's right. Ideally, you want to have an experience. You want to come on? Ideally, you want to have an experience in that particular specialization where you can say, you have reached some proficiencies. So you want to move on to the next step of applying to a fellowship there. All right. Now we're doing the wheel spinning. Okay, you want to do that?
Yeah. So, because of technical difficulties, we cannot screenplay it as you've been seeing, but we made sure to get everybody's name on the wheel.
Okay, so she was able to get everybody's name on the wheel, but we are unable to share the screen. Sorry about that. I don't know why this technical thing is torturing me today. And looks like all our wires are intact, so need someone who is more technically smarter than me.
Can I spin the wheel?
Okay, so this guy wants to spin the wheel. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can show you the screen. Hang on. So this will be the screen, and looks like all the names are in. Okay, you wanna click on the screen? All right, let's see. So all the names are here actually. Okay, if you don't see them, it's all clumped up. You have a winner, and that is Kumar. Okay, all right, Kumar, congratulations. I look forward to speaking with you one on one. So, the next steps for you would be to send an email to my team at contactus@imgsecrets.com. I can put this here, contact us at imgsecrets.com. Okay, and we would be more than happy to arrange a one on one session with you. Okay, cool. All right, look forward to talking to you. All right, the next question comes from Dr. Anto, and I do want to mention that Dr. Anto is actually a member on our channel, and thanks for being a member. And hope you're doing well. I'm doing really well. I do know you're a dermatologist from India. Can I explore Tennessee pathway right now? I would say coming from India and coming with a dermatology experience, I would not highly recommend the Tennessee pathway at this stage right now. We did share you some strategies during our one-on-one call. I would still say follow those strategies because those are made very thoughtfully just for you. And I would say follow those steps to focus on your next steps. Okay. So Tennessee pathway still requires USMLE for most of you, and especially things can be complicated in dermatology. Okay, it all comes to finding a position. So don't even focus on MLE, no MLE, nothing. Focus on how do I find a position. That's all is needed. Okay, I hope that's helpful, Dr. Vikas Anto. All right, and okay, so I do want to remind you that we have tons and tons of videos on our YouTube channel focused on US, Canada, even Australia, Singapore, that I encourage you to watch. And we have experts from all these countries. We also have experts from UK, from the Middle East, which I encourage you to talk to them one on one if you're interested in your career. And if you do need our one on one guidance, it's a pretty straightforward process. You go to our website, www.imgsecrets.com, and you can book an appointment from there. And we will be more than happy to talk to you one on one and provide guidance to you based on what we think is the best for you because we ultimately want to help you succeed in your career, whichever country it is. Okay? All right. Take care. Stay safe. We will talk to you soon. Bye.